Greetings, family. This is Kyle Dixon, co-founder of Precise Minds Filmworks, educator for 20 plus years, cultural enthusiast.
And I'm Kaide Bentley, president and founder of 4T's Teaching Teens to Think, whose mission is to help inner city youth identify their inherent skill sets in order to complete their education, establish a career, and ultimately start a business if they choose to. Professor at Fordham University, where I teach students who are pursuing their master's degree in social justice.
And with that said, welcome to the Grand Rising Collective, a podcast whose purpose is to cultivate greatness and excellence within ourselves and our communities. The name itself is from the morning greeting of Grand Rising, which we interpret as starting off the day with a greatness mindset so that we are able to rise to the occasion of whatever obstacles and challenges we may face.
And that's why we focus on engagement, relevant information, and empowerment for people in our communities who want to be and do better in their daily lives.
Welcome to the Grand Rising Collective. All right. Greetings, family. Greetings. Welcome to another Grand Rising Collective episode. We're breaking away from what we normally do, family, this time. And we got a film that we recently saw, myself and Kaide, based on a legendary figure in the hip hop world, one of the best lyricists to ever do it in the rap game, in the rap industry. And that is Notorious B.I.G, Biggie, aka Biggie Smalls, out of Brooklyn, New York. And the documentary that we saw recently on Netflix, I got a story to tell. All right, I got a story to tell. So we wanted to be able to talk about this documentary because Big is one of those figures in the hip hop industry that has gotten much press over the last 24 years, I think, since his death. And actually, when he died on March 9th, but 24 years later, he came out with a documentary and had exclusive footage, and people who knew him personally, grew up with him, and his background being Jamaican, his mom, his influence on his life, her words about her son. So just all these different things, his wife, Faith Evans at the time. So just all these different things. And Kaide and I wanted to take a break to talk about this thing because how it affected us watching the doc, living through this time period. I'm a teenager, I'm in high school at the time. Kaide, where are you at the time? It was 96, right? So
96?
Yeah.
I was working. I was employed at a IT firm.
Okay. So you doing big things, family, back then, 96. IT, right? So I'm still not even in college yet, but just the effect that being a hip hop head that I am, right? And I wear that proudly. The fact that this young man at the time, I'm looking at him like a man, but I mean he was only 24. He's only 24, family, young, still young adult. Still hasn't fully developed what they know now. Studies now, they said that our brains don't finish really growing until like 25, 26. Our physical body, so our brains aren't even finishing. I don't want to say settling, but they haven't finished formulating as far as what we can encompass as far as thinking. Certain decision-making skills, etc. So he's still growing into that at this time. But enough of that. Let's just hop into the doc, Kaide. Let's hop into the doc, brother. I got a story to tell. So, Kaide, what did you think about like the intro, just in reference of like coming into the doc and going into Big's background, coming up, like you being from the Bronx, man? Talk about that, man. Like really, because I mean, I know that whole Brooklyn Bronx thing, man. That's what I got here, but that whole Brooklyn versus Bronx, the birthplace.
I'll start there. In fact, growing up, and thank you for correcting me.
Yeah,
just the first time. So it's growing up during that time, obviously, and we talk about 90s, right? So this was I would say the second stage. It was the second stage of the impact of hip hop on our community. Because in the 70s is when Sugar Hill Gang came out. And you had Kool Herc, right? And you had KRS-One, and you had the teachers, right? And you had, it was hip hop in its rawest form, and it was coming into an awakening. So we come from that, right? The rawness of the hip hop. And now in the 90s, hip hop started becoming it started finding its rhythm, and it started becoming popular. And not only has it started becoming popular among the masses, I mean, crossing over, it started becoming lucrative. So during this time, you have now the young, well, it was always the young generation, but you have now the impact of this affluence in hip hop taking place with regards to Sean Combs. So Sean Combs and Biggie Smalls come in and starting to capitalize on this affluence. But what's so funny is now I don't want to say oxymoron because that's not an accurate description. But at the same time, hip hop becoming lucrative, where you would think it would deliver us inner city youth from poverty, some level of prosperity. No, there was an undercurrent of still that poverty still existed in the form of hustling and selling drugs, and there was still a drug, impact taking place.
Right, selling and using,
yeah, because we had
people around,
all of that, right? So, and then back in the 80s, you had Just Say No to Drugs with the Reagan era and all that other stuff. Right. So, but you notice how that undercurrent still existed. So, during that time, with that backdrop and that context, there were certain nicknames that each borough was given. So, as I just mentioned, the Bronx with the birth of Kool Herc, KRS-One, the birthplace of hip hop, as they call it. I'm from the South Bronx. I'm from that area where that came from, and you felt the vibrance of it. And this is where the Bronx got its nickname Boogie Down. So it was the Boogie Down Bronx because that's the birthplace of hip hop. That's where it came from. Right. At the same time, you had right across the bridge, Harlem, Manhattan, and they call Harlem Manhattan, money making Manhattan. Money making Manhattan. I think that if I don't have that messed up, right? So money making Manhattan, and then simultaneously you had Brooklyn, and Brooklyn was named Broken Down Brooklyn. Now here's the
wow.
Here's now. Those of you who remember this and are probably old enough to remember, there was a movie called Fort Apache, the Bronx.
Fort Apache.
And the Bronx, and this was in the 70s, getting into the 80s, was filled with abandoned buildings, broken buildings, empty lots. Right? And that's where Fort Apache, the Bronx, came from. So you would think that the Bronx would be called Broken Down Bronx, instead of Broken Down Brooklyn. But Brooklyn at the time, the reason why it was called Broken Down Brooklyn at the time, from what I remember, was because Brooklyn had your goons, your thugs. You had Brownsville, right? You didn't want to be on Brownsville. And Biggie talks about it in the documentary with regards to, what is it, Flatbush? Not Flatbush.
You talking about the block, the street they were on?
The block, yeah. What was it called?
Fulton Street.
Fulton Street.
Yeah, Fulton Street.
Fulton Street, that area, and they go
into... Still a main street in Brooklyn. It's very... for those who know, it's definitely a main street in Brooklyn, for sure. Main street in Brooklyn.
You had that element there. And because it wasn't known for making money like Manhattan, and because it wasn't known for making music like the Bronx, the Brooklyn was classified as Broken Down Brooklyn, because Brooklyn, especially Brownsville, had that reputation.
Yeah, I know. Really quick, just to interject. I remember Puffy saying in the documentary, he's like, "Yo, I didn't just go to Brooklyn because he was known to get robbed." He's like, I was like, "Yo,"
which complements the Broken Down, right? So if you're in the Broken Down Brooklyn, people going for theirs, and that's the reputation that Brooklyn had. And then finally there was Long Island, right? And Long Island was termed Strong Island, Long Island. But the Strong Island, Long Island, you had your goons as well. And although it was on the island, you still had those who were there who, had the muscle, they had that mentality going on. So those were the, from what I recall growing up,
what about Staten?
Staten Island really didn't have a popular label. It was just those that I remember. Staten Island. There was Queens also. Queens.
Gotta went to Queens. Yeah.
Quiet Queens.
Yeah.
Queens was labeled as quiet because, but it's so funny because you got LL coming out of there. You got Nas coming out of there.
MC. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The house.
MC Shane coming out.
MC Shane. And Marley Marl.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm thinking of the KRS ones.
Oh,
La. So,
we ain't gonna go there today, man. We ain't gonna go.
I gotta go there. It's too, we ain't got too much time. So
Yeah.
those are my recollections from growing up, and each borough had its own reputation, and you know how it tied into to Biggie Smalls. That's the element that he came into, and what's surprising also, as I hand it back over to you, Kyle, is how Biggie came from Jamaica. His mother brought him in Jamaica, and then he came over, and he had that he had that grit to him.
Mm-hmm.
That's the grit that we as African Americans have as a gift, and the gift to survive, and not only survive but inherent ability to thrive. But that was my experience in a nutshell from the Bronx. And contrary to popular belief, you'll see in the documentary as well that the reputation wasn't what the media portrayed it. It was still family-orientated communities. In the Bronx, when I grew up in the 70s, when I first moved up and grew up there, it was Italian populated, Black populated. You still had that sense of family, even though you had the drug dealers and the gang leaders, to which I was not intricately in part of, but my
Around you.
around me, but also on my floor, lived with a drug dealer, kingpin, family. We were tight, close. Had a family as well. You wouldn't believe it. But that's the community that we lived in. You were protected in that community because you grew up there. Everybody knew who everybody was. And it was beautiful. Back then, I have to say this before I hand it back over to you, Kyle.
Definitely, yeah.
Some feedback for you. And each one, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island, Staten Island, there was still a community that existed there. There was still a family that existed there. The only difference was the battles between the boroughs. So you had the killings and a lot of that stuff going on between the turf wars and the different boroughs. And even in the same borough, if you were from a different block, you had some of, the resistance there, and there were killings. I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. People got shot, people got laid out, they got the steel and all that other stuff. But overall, that you lived right, you did what you were supposed to do, you mind your business, the whole snitching thing and all that, you was pretty much okay. You still had that sense of family. But that's my recollection of those days in the 80s and then into the 90s, tying it into Biggie was still that element there. But because of the affluence that hip hop started taking, that's when the dynamic started to change and the community started to break apart and break down to a large extent. It became more narrow. Now gangs became more, of the thing, not community, not family to a large extent.
Yeah. Gangs,
Bloods, Crips, whatever the case would be.
Right. Drug crews, right? Drug crews is right. The Bloods and Crips starting to portray. And it's interesting with you. I'm glad you gave us that background because, like me growing up down south in Tennessee and seeing the things through the music, through the beach streets and the some people look at breaking like, nah, that's not official. But like Crush Groove, Beach Street, you know what I'm saying? Like all those different movies along with the videos and everything, the documentaries, Wild Style, that footage captured with Biggie, man, with the fashion, a little bit of the lingo. But like I love how they used the map, how the map was used in the documentary to see Biggie grew up off of Fulton Street, and then in reference of the people that he used to hang around, reference in Brooklyn. And then like you said, how Brooklyn had a certain reputation. You know what I'm saying? Like even though Biggie grew up in the 70s going into the 80s and 90s, how it went from, even though stuff was still rough because of Reaganomics and other lack of resources in these communities of color, Latino and African American and Caribbean folks too. Having to deal with these situations, raise families. Biggie coming from a single parent home with his mom and his dad's situation, what they explain in the documentary. But I love how they went to his Jamaican roots and showed like even his grandmother, like his grandmother's still alive, and she's close to 100, man, and she's sharp, you know what I'm saying? And just his relationship with his grandmother and just the influence of that in his mom, that hustle, you said, you know what I'm saying? Like that hustle to go get it and be determined. It's just that because more than likely lack of having a father in the home, it went left. You know what I'm saying? Because Big is an artist, and that's one thing I love. That Big was a creative young man, an intelligent, smart man, young man, young child. And then it ended up going a little left, getting into the drug game and the hustling, as they call it. You know what I'm saying? Still call it to this day. And it's just to see that progression into that, but then to go right back to what he truly want to do is be an artist, be creative. You know, and then people encouraging him, even though they're in the drug game, even though his boys are right next to him, they're like, no, his boy, rolling. Yep. Like, yo, you can do it, bro. Keep going. Like, if you make it, we all make it. Yeah. You know, encouragement to say, yeah, we not doing what we're supposed to be doing, or we're doing stuff that's negative or harming the community. But there's still some positivity within us that can help us to kind of get out of this situation. You know, you can represent us and be a positive beacon and say, yo, he made it out. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one thing I think I appreciate about the document as well, is like you see these young Black men that other people look at these thugs, look at these criminals. But even within that, their circle of influence, there was still something to say, you know what, this only goes so far. You know, this only goes so far. And we know it only goes so far, but this is what we got. And this is how we feel like we're going to make it in this world at this point in time. I mean, we talking about 18, 19-year-olds, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about barely 20s, you know, like seriously, like this. So it's only rare, you know, a person of that age can fend for themselves in that manner and make wise decisions without having any counsel. You know what I'm saying? And his mother, of course, was naive to certain degrees that he was working like a 9-to-5 job, because she can only do so much. Like he said, like I think D-Rock mentioned, his mom went to work at 9. She got home at 5. They would be checking the clock, like, okay, his mom's about to come. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so he would act like he's going to school, and then he'd go to the block. You know?
In fact, they were right outside the train station that his mother came out of, and right there's the tower, the clock tower right there.
Yeah, people know Brooklyn, and you see that tower downtown. You know, it's like, wow. You know? So yeah, just things, man, with Big, man. You know, like, me moving to New York and being in New York and living in Brooklyn, and like, oh yeah, you know, like things connecting, hearing it in the music, and then like firsthand and being in it firsthand. Even though we know Brooklyn's becoming heavily gentrified, like where Biggie grew up, it's white folks walking all around that place, you know. And again, you know, some are taking advantage of the situation and not taking into account the people who are already there, and some just are taking the opportunity to say, hey, I want to be around. I want to be in this place. And some know Biggie used to be there. They're like, yo, Biggie used to be over here. Like, yo. So some of them know too. You know? Yeah.
To that, another funny part in the documentary, there are gonna be spoilers in here. We might hit you with spoilers. Yeah. Where his mother thought that he was putting mashed potatoes on the windowsill.
Yeah.
Why you put mashed potatoes on the windowsill? Don't you know? What is it, cold? You trying to?
And she threw him out, man. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was funny. Man. She was doing that.
Man. Yes.
But with that said, the counter to that is, you know, as a young kid, you know, he had a promising future. The thing that stood out to me was the jazz musician that took time to, you know, rear him. And you can expound on that, because you were very articulate with that, Kyle. Yeah. Where, you know, he was influenced and impressed by this professional figure who was in jazz. And this is just to tell, you know, to share with these young people as well, because, you know, my whole demographic is young people.
Yes.
That, you know, you can be the man too, in a suit and tie, you know, living above the law, not above the law, but not against the law. You know, find your craft or what have you, and that ties into his talent. But, you know, please, Kyle, elaborate more on, you know, that part in the documentary where he met the jazz artist who, you know, what particularly influenced him in regards to his guests.
Yeah.
That you wanted to be a part of. What about that do you want to expound on that?
Yeah, I thought that was real cool, man. Like the brother moving to Clinton Hill is the area, which is on the cusp of Bed-Stuy, Clinton Hill, for those who know. But yeah, man, it was just like, he said Big was a young kid sitting on the stoop and saw this guy coming in with these fine women. He was like, he could attract the women. He's like, yo, who's that? What does he do? You know, like, so Big approached him. He's like, he found out he was a jazz artist, you know, and the jazz artist, I forget the brother's name. I'm sorry about that, but he had came to Clinton Hill because there was a lot of artists in that community. You know, one of my kind of agendas in hip hop right now, me and my film partner Corey Smallwood, Say Adams. Say Adams used to stay in that area too. If you know Say Adams, he's a famous graffiti writer, artist, worked with Def Jam and Beastie Boys. But artists were living all up in that area. You know, they were living all up in that area, man. So the jazz artists moved there, big song with the ladies, you know, asked them, what do you do? So Big told him he rhymed or whatnot, and he heard him. He said, this young man has talent. And he noticed that he didn't have a father around, so he pulled him in, would teach Big about certain concepts of jazz. He played with Miles, he played with Dizzy, you know, played with like Roy Ayers and guys like this, right? So Max Roach, and that was crazy. I wanted to keep things in the doc with Max Roach and Biggie's rhymes, man. Oh man, just the pattern. Because people was wondering, even his guy D-Rock, who's in the film, didn't even recognize that Big got that influence from that until he saw the doc that he was in, you know? So that tells you right there that Big is pulling from these influences. Big like country music, you know, he got that influence from his mom. But that jazz player, man, to be able to sit down with this young brother at the time, probably like 12, 13, 14, but, you know, going into high school age, like to pull him to the side and to like school him on certain things and to encourage him in his art. You know, that shows how important that I'm trying to get out of the word mentorship. That's a whole nother conversation, but to pull him as like an apprentice in a sense, like to pull him in and say, hey, here's what I know about art. Here's how it can influence your rhymes. Cause oh man, that footage, there's one piece of footage, family, in there where Big looks like he's maybe like junior high, maybe 7th, 8th grade. Oh man, I was like, this kid,
flat top.
Yeah, with the flat top. Flat top. I had a flat top. It wasn't that though, but it was nice though.
He didn't play.
Yeah, man. But it was like, yo, man, this dude got rhymes, you know, like seriously. And delivery, you know, and just to hear that, like that Big wasn't an island. It's like we always wonder about certain artists, like how they develop their skills, develop their talent. And then you hear stories like that where they're taking pieces from people and adding it to their repertoire. And sometimes people are pulling them to the side and say, hey, check this out. Think about this rhyme, this music, this piece of information that influences the art. And it's just amazing to see, man, that development. And he said he tried to, you know, get Big to roll with him on a few occasions, but Big started getting the call of the street. You know, as you start getting older, your peers are getting older, testosterone starts pumping in. You know, you go from that young little cute boy to that young man. You know what I'm saying? That maturation process. You know, especially as young black males. You know, we go from real quick to that cute little boy to who's this young man. You know, looks menacing. Like and especially in Brooklyn during that time, Biggie's a dark skin. He's overweight, as some people may say. Got a lazy eye. You know what I mean? So these are things that even the family wouldn't realize. Like even me coming up, you know, I was a little chubby kid, dark skinned, had a little bit of a complex because in our society, light was better. Light skin was better. It was seen as being more appealing. So, you know, Big is dealing with all these little things here, you know, during this time frame. I mean, colorism still exists for sure. You know, it still exists. I mean, I think women get it worse for sure. But yeah, going into that piece right there was really cool. And then just family, you'll see how they, with the Max Roach and Big, is dope. It's dope. It's crazy, yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things that, you know, when we deal with, you brought a very good point with regards to, you go from looking real cute as a little boy, and then who is this menacing figure as a teenager. It just, one of the things, another thing that stood out in the documentary that I don't think a lot of people really knew. Well, me, I really didn't know how much of a heart that he had, right? And, you know, you would think, like you said, he's not attractive by societal standards. He's overweight. He has a lazy eye. You know, that kind of impact that it has on a young person. But with all that, man, the thing that really touched me, as a matter of fact, was his heart, man. He still he wanted to help young people. You know, he wanted to put his mantle on one of his songs. As a matter of fact, he thought, you know, Junior Mafia. He wanted to put them on. He wanted everybody to eat, and that touched me, man. The way, and then when you combine that with, you know, he was hustling, not because to an extent he loved it per se, but inherently he knew that he didn't want to struggle. So
Right.
he's hustling to make money so that way he can to thrive, and not only thrive, but also provide for his daughter. Because remember, he had one in the
That's right
son,
there.
and
Yes.
he was going to actually move his hustling location, or expand rather, to North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
where the mother of his children was, and open up shop there. And I got to put a plug in for Sean Combs.
Yeah.
This is where Sean Combs came in. It was like, listen, you got this opportunity here in music. This where you going right here. There's only 2 avenues in the ground or behind bars. This music thing could change all that, and then that's where O comes in.
Yeah.
You mentioned his boy O from around, and you can elaborate more on that. I was really supportive of him, but when he lost O, I think that's when things started to wake up in him. And he even said in the video as well, bad luck, right? He said, I keep saying Flatbush, but
it's on Fulton Street.
Fulton Street.
On Fulton Street, yeah. And D-Rock too. D-Rock, was right there too.
Right. D-Rock. And
amongst his other brother that was a stick-up kid that was also, they were there. I'm sure they were encouraging, but not like O was,
Right.
was like, oh, like, damn, like you really got talent, man.
And from what I understand, they said, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cal, but they said he gravitated to O like Right on Rice, like they were brothers and stuff like that. So the reality started to hit Biggie in the documentary when O got killed.
Yeah.
And and that's when he was talking about how Flatbush, Fulton is, bad luck. It starts out rosy and good and stuff like that, but at the end, it always ends bad. So, this was him trying to, I saw in the documentary, figure out how he could thrive, as well as, in order to thrive, you have to survive. If you're not surviving, you're going to thrive. And that's what really stood out to me in regards to his lyrical genius. Where and then it goes back to your point where he listened to jazz and he listened to country music, and he took all those different rhythms and added to his repertoire, which in my belief, Biggie is in a lane all himself, man. Lyrical genius. I listened to his songs today. This is what, 30 years later? Is it like 20, 30 years later?
24 since his death, but
20 years later, that Juicy. That Juicy.
Man. Yeah, man. And it's a commercial, and and that's really a commercial hit. Like that's when you listen to the other things, you can tell that he didn't slow it down, but he kind of made it plain to make a hit song. But he could really go in. Like when you go to some of his album cuts, like he could really go in. And especially with the Ready to Die album, like speaking on that, like you were saying, like his lyrical wittiness and repertoire of like word usage and how he said it. You know what I'm saying? Like we think about like lyrics, is just like you can be lyrical, but it's also his delivery, man. It was just so witty. Like it was just so witty and just like on point. Like, yo, how you doing this? Like it sound like great. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, what did he say? What's one song? Man, it's so many, family. It's so many. It's just like the what do you say? Miami DC prefer Versace. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, just all the Moschino. I mean, just yo, man.
Black and ugly as ever.
Heartthrob never, black and ugly as ever. However, I stay Coochie down to the socks. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, man. And that's just a snippet. That's just a snippet. My rain on the top of the leprechauns as I crush those so-called willies pop. I'm like, what? Like what? Like, yo, and excuse my language, but this man was a G, man. He's a genius, man. He's a genius. He's one of our poetical, lyrical geniuses. For real. Yeah. Great storyteller. A profound visual. He puts the image in your mind like a movie. People say that a lot now, and that's like kind of like a cop out. People go to that, but no, Big. The two people that come to my mind when people say it's like a movie in your head is Slick Rick. Those two that always pop in my head instantly. Now there are others who can do that, but those are the main two that always pop in my head first. Like you said, the heart of this brother, man. Like to take Junior Mafia, Lil C's, Lil Kim, and like bring them along. Like literally, like, yo, man, I don't need to be on this block. Y'all don't need to be on this block either. Y'all my fam. y'all like my extended family. I'm taking care of all y'all, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna make sure y'all straight. You know, if y'all with me, we gonna be straight. And that's, like you said, the heart of this young brother. 24 now, 23, 24, you know, and to have that, man, and have that leadership quality, you know, is amazing, man. I mean, seriously, I mean, the brother really did not get the chance to really fulfill and live his life thoroughly, and really see the true fruits of his labor. Yeah, it's just, bro, I love the footage. I love the footage, bro. I love the.
Speaking of the footage, you know, you've seen excerpts of where he was the first rap battle that he had right there on full.
Yeah, on Bedford. That was on Bedford.
Bedford.
Yeah, I walked past there many a time because I was like, where did Biggie do the battle? You know what I'm saying? Like, where did he do the battle? You know?
That's like what do you call it? Those landmarks, man.
Yeah, landmarks, man.
Crystal.
Yeah. Right. Yes. That was one of the first things when I got to Brooklyn. When I was living, I was like, wait, where Biggie go? Where Jay-Z at? Where Marcy at? You know, where most Def, Roosevelt Projects, like where that at? You know, it's like.
That I would say in the documentary, you know, again, you've seen little excerpts of it in the, you know, the other stuff, but they showed the full footage of that. When you see Biggie there trying to grab the mic from this young cat that's trying to come at him like sideways and all that.
Yeah, man.
The mic.
Yeah.
He wasn't even like, at that point, he was more into the hustling thing. He was trying to hustle. Right. He wasn't really focusing on the music. But then I think that triggered him, man. Once and his homeboy was coming at him, he's like, yo, give me the mic. And then he got on the mic and, yo, you talk about rawness.
Crushed.
Talk about raw. I mean, back to back, boom.
Yeah.
Boom. I was like, that got me, man. Because I only saw, like I said, little snippets of it when they had it on the other diet. But they showed more in this documentary, and the way he came out with this, that, and that, those few minutes.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah, that's classic material right there, man. It's just, oh man, I've seen that footage multiple times, but to see it extended like that, and then like, I'm not gonna ruin it, but his good friend D-Rock is in there, and there's a certain aspect of that film that we didn't know, I didn't know before, and I'm like, oh, okay. You know, that had a little element in there, a little rough element in there, but you know, he was looking out for his friend for sure, man. And that's what I love too, man, that they were looking out for each other. Mm-hmm. And the brotherhood, you know, that people, again, that we go back to the, like, you know, look at these thugs and hoodlums selling drugs on the corner. And he mentioned that in Juicy, you know what I'm saying? This is for all the people who call the police on me when I was trying to feed my it's all good, baby. You know what I'm saying? You now you see like the relevance of those lyrics, where they're coming from.
Yes, definitely.
You know, that aspect of that, you know what I'm saying? And this is, again, a young black male, misunderstood, but it's still all good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand where y'all coming from, but it's cool. I'm not that way no more. I get it. You know what I'm saying? So even him saying that he didn't hold no animosity. You know, he like, it's cool, I let it ride. You know what I'm saying? So even in that, him recognizing his place in it, and also recognizing how he has changed. You know, there's so many themes, man, in his music. Even that first album, Ready to Die, you know what I'm saying? Which I didn't listen to till I got to college, because he was dropping so much heat as far as the singles and you know, Bad Boys doing the remixes, man. I was like, yo, I don't think I need the album, man. I just buy the remixes and the singles, like, which was a thing then, buying the remixes, singles and everything. Yep. So the album I bought was Life After Death. That's the one I bought. But yeah, man, just that whole theme of Ready to Die, and talking about death, and talking about survivor's remorse, or survivor's what's they call it? Survivor's remorse or survivor's trauma.
Survivor's remorse.
Yeah, survivor's remorse, and dealing with depression. Like you said, dealing with not feeling like you're good enough. So like all these things, man, at a young age, as a young black male, man, being put in these situations. And again, he didn't say he was ready to die. It was a mindset that he was in, being in these particular situations. So, you know, that's unfortunate, because, you know, I personally, I think that because of that, it put a vibration out into the world that maybe he was not able to truly recover from, in reference of him wanting to grow as a man, as a person. And again, that's debatable. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know the brother personally. I know people who knew him though. And they say, just, you know, he was a good dude, you know. That's what I always hear, man. Like, yeah, he was doing stuff, but a solid guy, a solid person. You know what I mean? He lived by a certain code of ethics, you know, and you know that it's just a tragedy, man, to see a young brother like him go out the way he did, and also realizing, like, I was a little emotional at the end, man, because you got a chance to really see him in an element with D-Rock's home footage.
Yeah. Yep.
Family. Yo, look,
I shed a little tear, man, myself.
Yeah, look, y'all. Look, D-Rock, his homeboy D-Rock, his guy, is one of his best friends. He did a recent interview. He said he has like 700 tapes of footage. Like 700 tapes. Because I mean, like you said, Big said, yo, you got the tape in. Just they wake up, pop the tape in, and start filming themselves, going to different cities at concerts and shows. Oh man, I mean, just that footage is key right there, man. That's the goal right there.
And I think you mentioned last time we spoke about this. That wasn't no cheap camera either. That was cheap camera. There was no big clunky joint.
Nah, it wasn't a big. It wasn't a big joint, and it's funny, man, because, you know, like, to hop on this real quick, like when I was going to Freaknik as a kid, you know what I'm saying? When I was going to Freaknik, yeah, we would rent the cameras, and it would be the big joint. They would be big cameras. So I know. I'm not gonna go. That's a whole other episodes, right? That's a whole another episode. But yeah, right. You right. Hey, we got great. But having to log that big joint around, man, to him, just that, man. You said that was going to look about 600, 700, 1,000 maybe?
Yeah, those little cameras, easily 1,000 at that time. Starting at 1,000 actually, because the big clunky ones was like 600.
Yeah.
I think in the 96, as a matter of fact, I rented the big ones, and that was a $600 camera. Those big ones, I can only imagine what the little ones were.
Yo, man, he got some gold footage, man. To see Big in his element, to see him relaxed and with his family, his crew, and interacting with the fans, being on stage.
Yep.
Oh man, it was great, man. It was great. And again, the humanistic side of this brother, to see the human aspect, not as an artist, not as Notorious B.I.G.
Right.
Wow, it's like
I think that's the key takeaway anyway that I get from this documentary. Is this documentary shows that human side of him, not the Notorious Big, not the celebrity, not the image, but the real, the real him. And I think that this documentary did a great job, I think, in showing that.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, going in, family, I'm thinking like, I got a story to tell. What other stories y'all got to tell? We even heard, you know what I'm saying, over the years, because he's that figure. He's that luminary figure in hip hop and in Brooklyn, you know. So it's like, what other story y'all got? And it's like, oh man, home footage, like, wow. They only use, out of 700 tapes that D-Rock says he has, he said he only used like 10 to 14 tapes.
Wow.
Think of how much more footage, content, if he wants to do something, that he can do it, which I think is phenomenal, man. Like, he could literally, D-Rock, if he wanted to, with all that footage, he could donate that to like the Smithsonian or something, man. And it would just be crazy. You know what I mean? Like, he don't even donate all of it, he donates some of it, man. Cause it's just, think about this. Think if we had home videos of Jimi Hendrix. Think we had home videos of Miles Davis, John Coltrane. This is who we talking about here, family. Like, we're not, this is not a hyperbole, you know what I'm saying? Go to my English. Hey, this ain't a hyperbole, this ain't an exaggeration. Like, he is literally one of the best lyrical, musical geniuses we've had. Not just hip hop, but period.
Yeah.
And I'm not ashamed to say that at all.
I completely agree with you. The thought running through my mind, a lot of critics will say, what? He doesn't even have a large catalog and stuff like that. Well, number one, he was, killed when he was young. But just what we do have of him that he did, you can't question it, man. You can't not question. I don't think anybody could. They can if they want to be idiots and jerks or whatever the case would be. But I think it's a given. It's you can't deny his genius. You can't deny his cadence. You can't deny his play on words. You can't do it. You can't do it. He's right up there. He's on. I don't believe in one is better than the other.
Yeah.
We work together, but just like Tupac.
Yep.
You gotta give Biggie his props. His to this day, I listen to his songs, man, and I'm still feeling them joy. And I'm still blown away at the way he connected those words.
Yeah.
And the vocabulary.
Yeah, brother. I mean, like, yeah, he's up there with the Rakim, the LL, the MC Lights, the Queen Lies. You know what I'm saying? KRS-Ones. You know what I'm saying? Like the Melly Mel's. You know what I mean? Like they up there. He up there. Like, and we gotta give value. We gotta give value to ourselves. I think that's another key thing too. We must start as a people, as a culture, giving value to our artists and creators, because these are the folks that help us get through life and give us a different life.
Very good, yeah.
Like, we have to start acknowledging and valuing them, because if we don't, who else will?
Very good.
We can't expect somebody outside of us. Again, we talk about industry. The industry, like I saw a recent article, the industry is taking hip hop. No, it hasn't. Never take hip hop. You know why? Because they only get a fraction of what the essence of hip hop is. You cannot encapsulate the spirit. I'm just be real. You cannot encapsulate the African spirit. I'm just sorry. You cannot. You can try to.
Don't apologize. I hear you, brother. Don't apologize.
Yeah. You can try to. But that's just the music. You got the dance with the b-boy b-girls. You got the graffiti. You got the music, and you got the DJs. Orchestrating music. So yeah, you can try to encapsulate it. Industry-wise, put clamps on it if you want to, but you will never fully get it. Even Big performing. Think about this, and this is a concept that some people may agree or disagree with. Even Big performing a song does not truly encapsulate the genius that he is and was. Jay-Z, same thing. Nas, the same thing. Queen Live, Money Love, you know what I'm saying? Jean Grey, you know what I'm saying? We can go there, you know what I mean? The songs are only a snippet, a capsule in time of that particular song, concept, topic, issue, whatever the case may be. But as far as that raw skill, being able to just make you feel it, man. Like, he makes you feel it. Pac too, all our great artists. Jimmy, like I said, Jimi Hendrix, Miles, Prince, Mike, they made you feel it. They made you feel it, And, that's something that is priceless, man. It's priceless. Like, when I listen to Biggie, it takes me back to when I'm in high school. It takes me to that time. It takes me back to what I was thinking, how I was feeling. Because I was more a big fan than a Pac fan. I respected Pac, but as far as like musicality, I was more a Biggie fan.
You can't forget the name that just goes when I was struggling is Bob Marley, man.
Oh yes, Bob, exactly. That Jamaican influence, you know what I'm saying? Like, big with that, we gotta that. Those rhythms, those patterns, that flow, when that's one thing I was talking about recently with my brother and my friends. It's like, and Talib mentioned it too. He was right. Talib Kweli, he's like, big that, You knew it was about to go down. You knew it was about to, Big was about to go in. Big was about to go in. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I hear myself, I'm like,
Ross trying to do it, but it ain't the same.
Nah, it's not, man.
The same. But it's similar. You see where he got it from, but it's like, oof, he about to go in.
Nah, man, Biggie on point.
And I want to say this too for the fam, because people will say, well, Biggie's lyrics were misogynist, violent, and things like that. Yeah, they were. And let's be real here. I mean, again, he's in his 20s. I mean, that doesn't give him an excuse, because the effect that it has on people still rings true. But it's to say that he would have grown. You know what I'm saying? I think he would have grown, and the misogyny was coming from a real place, and that's something that we definitely need to talk about. Dream Hampton, I gotta mention Dream Hampton. Dream Hampton was a writer for the Vibe and the Source out of Detroit, out of the D, and she hung with Big and Little C's and all them. Like, she rolled with them, And as a woman, as an artist, as a writer, she would see some things and question some of it too, But yeah, man, Dream. I wonder why they didn't interview her. I don't know why. They should have. But but yeah, man, like, that's something to question, and we still question lyrics today with, with gratuitous sexual advances with women and violence and promoting violence. Does it promote violence or not? But that we constantly question, but we also have to question in our society. That's the thing too. We question these musical artists, but we also have to question the society that produces these type of thoughts and ideas.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, we cannot get away from that.
That's exactly where I was going, because I don't want to get veer too far off the documentary.
Yeah.
And dealing with historical roots and its origins. Remember I mentioned the proliferation or the lucrativeness of hip hop from its origins in the 80s, right? Don't forget that towards the end of the 80s, KRS-One, Queen Latifah,
Kumo D, Chuck D, Stetsasonic, Heavy D.
What's his name? They showed him in the video. Dougie Fresh, but he was the one with the flat top. He was smooth with the tie. You know who I'm talking about?
Big Daddy Kane? Big Daddy Kane?
Yeah, Daddy Kane, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
we gotta mention Kane. But we didn't mention Kane. Kane up there too. Kane is definitely up there.
Yeah, and they came out with Self-Destruction. You're headed for self-destruction. Everybody, right? So
today's topic, self-destruction.
Right.
Just bugging.
Keep in mind, this was before Biggie, right? So there was a consciousness taking place among the hip hop community, among us, uplifting us, that didn't include the misogyny.
Right.
Didn't include the disparaging images of black women, our black sisters. Didn't include the promotion of drugs. Didn't include the promotion of sex and outlandish profanity and stuff like that. If you remember, that we were coming together because those leaders started to go there, and they were like, we need all these things, these negative things that I just mentioned are contributing to our self-destruction. We're heading to self-destruction. Yes, come together. Yes, stop the battle, what have you. And then if you notice, in my opinion, as humbly as I can probably say this, is when I think there was a more concerted effort by the industry to try and change the narrative to where it became more misogynist. And this is what Biggie ended up being, to an extent, having to, adjust to or flow with his background and everything like that. I propose that had that influx of disparaging wasn't promoted, had self-destruction been able to grow, right? I think we would have seen probably an even higher frequency, higher vibration of Biggie's gift in hip hop. Can you imagine what kind of cadence and lyrical genius he would have implemented in things that are more positive, things that are more uplifting to the community and us as a family? Are you kidding me?
Right, and he touched on, man, bro, and that's what, before we end this, like, that's what Life After Death was for me, because I saw the variation in range that he had. It was like, yo, you went from Ready to Die, which was kind of like this aggressive, kind of depressed state of well-being, being in as a now they would call it being in the trap. He was in the trap. But like the range, man, one of the first songs is Bone Thugs, you know what I'm saying? Notorious Thugs, Bone and Biggie, you know what I'm saying? I got a story with that too, you know what I mean? Like seeing that on a track trip, this team from Memphis pops in the tape and we're like, yo, how'd they get the Biggie? How'd they get the Biggie album a week before it comes out? Like, how they got that? And they're playing Bone and Biggie, Bone Thugs. Armed Dangerous, ain't too many bang with us, straight up, Angel Dust, label us Notorious, half after they love the bus, they had the bus, all these gambling. I mean, like, oh man, it blew my mind, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then, but he did Sky's the Limit on that too, Sky's the Limit, with 112. You know what I mean? I'm like, this cat got range, man. We lost a great one, bro. We lost a great one. And I wanted to ask you kind of end it off. What do you think Big, and you kind of touched on already, what do you think Big would have done now? Like, if it was lived?
A couple of things, actually. I think he would have raised the standard in music and in hip hop.
A lot of cats wouldn't have made it.
A lot of cats wouldn't have made it.
There's
rumors that Jay-Z wouldn't be where he is.
I heard that too. I've heard that rumor too.
Right.
Jay would have been in the mix, but I don't know if he would have.
Not on that level. Jay is good. Jay-Z is good.
Yeah. Jay's up there.
not. I don't think not on the level of Biggie. So I think he would have. I think he would have changed the status quo. I think he would have raised the bar that a lot of cats wouldn't have made. And then I think he would have been a fantastic entrepreneur, producer. You know what I mean? And being able to, you don't like the word mentor, and I like that, but it's apprentice, right? He would have been a great asset to apprentices. Young cats would have changed the game, man. These young kids growing up now, the way they soak up stuff, and stuff like that, and his tutelage, to be able to hit them with that, he would have been a definite force that you couldn't. It'd be a challenge to mess with had he still been alive today. I think it would have been, and he probably would have even went so far because it's good heart. He probably would have went to the extent of challenging the status quo in regards to the misogyny, in regards to the profanity, in regards to the negative image that's out there. Because remember you said, the last conversation you said, his teacher asked him what do you want to do. He wanted to draw. He wanted to be like that. But then he found out through hustling he can make more money than drawing. Now with the affluence and success and money and prosperity he would have had from establishing his career and stuff like that, he would have been able to really explore that. You would have seen something from Biggie in the arts. I mean, you would have messed it up, kind of like what 50 Cent is doing now with regards to TV, with regards to how they were doing with apparel and stuff like that. You would have seen an influence or an impression that Biggie would have made in hip hop in the art industry, man, the MoMAs and all that other. You kidding me?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one, bro. Yeah, man. Yeah. That'd have been nice to see, man. Because I know Miles Davis started getting into the artwork, in the latter stages of his career, paintings and things like that. And you're right. I think Biggie definitely would have at least entertained that idea, because now you have money, things are more secure, you have room to breathe as far as not being pressed for your life or having monetary restraints.
You have that freedom to create.
Yeah, you had more freedom to create. And I definitely agree with you on that. Like, he would have brought more people in the game, in the industry. Started maybe like a small label. He was already starting his clothing company, Brooklyn Mint. Was at the beginning stages. So yeah, man, he had a lot of plans, man. His friend said in the doc, like, he was about his money. Like, he was definitely about making money and taking advantage of those opportunities. So I definitely, from a fan's eyes, I see him definitely like taking advantage of all those things that Jay actually took advantage of to some degree. You know what I'm saying? And being in those key positions, man, to like influence.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Just look where Jay is today, right?
Yeah.
That's where Biggie would have been, if not further.
Yeah. I can see that easy. I can see that easy because again, he's only 24, family. He's only 24, but the brother was just savvy. He just was. And again, what he did know, he was willing to learn and really soak in. Quick.
The fact that he had, and I'm not, giving props to country music because I'm not a fan of country music. But the fact that
his ear,
and he can look at country music and be like and incorporate that into his repertoire. That's skill, man. That's talent. That's a gift.
Yeah.
There's nothing country can't do it.
Yeah, that's a gift, man. That's a gift. Straight up.
Huge gift.
Straight up. Yeah.
That's what I would say to that. Where do you think he would be had he not passed?
Just like I was saying, like more with his apparel, a label, having label mates, starting his own label, probably going into merchandising as far as like you said, art or businesses in Brooklyn. I think he would have been invested in Brooklyn for sure. Knowing what we know now and him being alive, I think he would have invested in some things in Brooklyn, like if not buying buildings, maybe like businesses, some businesses in Brooklyn. Maybe charity too. Maybe charity, like to help put some positivity back into the neighborhood, is just invest in business. Maybe like starting like a charity of some sort. I can kind of maybe see that.
I got a final question. You just triggered that, man. When you be doing that.
Yeah, family. We got a lot to say, family.
What influence do you think his Jamaican roots would have had over here in this country? We know his work ethic, right? But in regards to that aspect of his development, because he loved being, Mom said he loved being in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Being in Jamaica. What area of influence do you think that would have had?
Ooh.
in regards to him being here in the States?
That's a great question, my brother. Oh man, I mean, off the top, I mean, one thing, family, you'll notice a snippet. If you look real close, you'll see his son in Jamaica, CJ, his son Christopher Wallace Jr. in there. But man, that's a great question, brother. I would like to think that some of the artists in Jamaica, he would have maybe pulled in and added like into his like songs and things like that. Oh, you know, definitely Damian Marley. Oh man, you know, Jay did the joint with Damian. Oh, that would have been, I think that would have been big all day, man. That's a great question, man. I think that would have been him, Big and Damian Marley and Junior Gong and Notorious B.I.G. Ooh. Thinking about that, just like, like would have been awesome. Nas did a joint with Damian. Jay-Z did the joint with Damian for the 444. But Big would have did that already. He would have already had that locked in. Oh man, that'd have been so sweet.
From there, that's his homeland, man. That's
man.
Yeah, you know the
bro. Yeah, brother. Oh yeah. I think he definitely would have had some part to play in that. Definitely with the marijuana that's going on now, he definitely would have had something to do with it. You know, like, well, I can't say definitely, but I'm just assuming, just from my research and observing. But you know, only he knows. You know, only his people really, really close to him truly maybe know. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen that.
All right. Well, that concludes our what do you say, critique like Siskel and Ebert?
Yes. Oh, real quick before we end, family, Coyote, 3 of your favorite Big songs. Random.
Oh man, Randall. Oh man. It Was All a Dream. That one.
Okay. Yeah.
Get Money.
Okay. Ooh. Ooh.
And there's another one, man.
What was that? Okay, yeah. Well, okay, right. Because that was Junior Mafia and Big. But I'll let you ride on that. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm looking for another. Hold on.
Nah. Off the cuff, bro. Off the cuff.
Those are the two that come. I can only
yeah.
Those are the two that come to mind immediately. But there's so many more. There's so many more, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man.
Oh, Baby, Give Me One More Chance. Right. That's
Okay, the original or the remix? See, that's my true peeps know what I'm talking about, because the album is an album cut, and then there's the remix that
the remix.
Okay.
Remix.
Okay. Damn, I was gonna.
I'm into I like that. You know.
That's memory. Come on, in the club. Oh, yo, I'm a youngin, y'all, at the time, but I'm still. I'm still getting back. Yeah. I like it. Yo, that's slow wine right there, man. That's a slow wine in the spot to be right there. You know what I'm saying? People know what I'm talking about. That's the slow wine joint. That's the hold away slow wine right there. I was gonna say One More Chance remix, but you got me on that one. Probably like Bone Thugs, Notorious Thugs. Let's see. Kick in the Door. Bone Thugs, Kick in the Door, and probably Sky's the Limit, man. That one. I always get a good feeling.
Sky's the Limit is good.
Yeah. I always get a good. There's others because there's so many to choose. It's so many to choose from.
That 112 thing he did, that was.
Yeah, I'm just because it puts me in a reflective mood, especially during these times, man, when we've lost some family, I've lost some things. It just puts things in perspective. It's very, very reminiscent. Kicking the door is just aggressive. I love the beat. I call it the big man beat. It's like kick in the door, waving the 4-4. All goes popping, don't hit me no more. It's like, on your mark, get set. Just his lyrical wordplay in the whole. It's nasty. It's nasty. And then of course Notorious Thugs, because that was the first time I heard him ever switch up his flow. And it's one of my favorites. Always one of my favorites.
There you have it, fam.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep, that's it, family. Go see the doc, Netflix. I got a story to tell, right? Recognize the real, y'all. Recognize the real. Pay respects to the brother, let his spirit live on, his family, man. And hopefully, it sparks a new generation of thorough artists, which it has, but even more. And got to give love and respect to his legacy and his mother, who helped to raise him, man, and his grandmother too, you know. So got to give love and respect to them.
And don't forget, real quick, I think he said his uncle.
Oh yeah, yes, his uncle. Yes, that's his uncle. Yep, his uncle in Jamaica. Yeah. You know, the toaster. Yeah, you know, he toasted.
He was like under him, like soaking that.
Yeah, that's real. Ah, that's right. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Exactly. Got to give props.
All right. So with that, we're gonna do our 1, 2. We're gonna do our 1, 2, 3 on the count of 1, 2, 3. Peace.